Try it. There we go. Go ahead, state your name.
All right, Walter Gibbons, Chief at the Fire Rescue.
Right. So, okay, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. And I'm doing this because I just want to know what it is that makes someone want to volunteer for emergency service. That's why I'm asking these questions. So I just want to get to know you a little bit here. What are your favorite movies?
Favorite movies? Have several.
Or a specific movie, if
Have
you
several.
Okay.
My favorite all-time movie is Band of Brothers, because I've been right into World War II since it's one of the greatest wars and with the greatest reason. It was a war that changed the whole world, and it was for a just cause to help the human race. Basically, I mean, the Jews being slaughtered. You know what I'm saying? Hitler was a very bad man. Mussolini was very bad, and you know what I'm saying. It was just the emperor in Japan. They were some thugs, pretty bad thugs. So that was pretty interesting. But I also love Emergency. You got to take Johnny Gage and those guys, and you got to love them because just grew up with those folks. And Rescue Me is kind of funny, but it's not really suited for family entertainment. But we like Ladder 49 too, but it's too sad I cry.
Yeah. How about World Trade Center? You like it?
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, those really do make me cry.
Yeah.
Those are pretty heart touching.
So, what is your favorite book, if any?
Well, my favorite book was the first book I ever read cover to cover, which was J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. And then I read a couple other ones that were really good when I was younger that touched me. Was My Side of the Mountain by a young boy who got lost in the woods and had to survive on his own. And those are probably my favorite books.
What is your favorite sport or team?
Well, you got to love the New England Patriots. I think that's just a necessary thing. But really, I kind of have a thing for the Washington Redskins. I don't know why. It's kind of football would be the thing of the bashing and the crashing. But other than that, I really don't do much for sports, Kind of.
Okay, what is your favorite food?
This one is, there is no not favorite. I like them all. But pizza, hamburger pizza with extra sauce, extra cheese, and if you can get it from Pat's Pizza in Hamden, then you're talking the best pizza in the world.
And what's your favorite candy?
Well, we all know that the Reese Cup is really high in the candy world. But you have to get those at the right time. You get them after a big hot spell like we just had, they're dry and they've been melted, so you have to go to the store with air conditioning and get the Reese Cup.
All right. What do you do for a living for your full-time job?
Well, up until a few days ago, I worked with mentally handicapped. And maybe in the future I'll do that as well. It was a very rewarding job. But I'm really kind of looking forward to becoming a private investigator. I like to dig into things. I like to do surveillance, I guess you should say. I like to try to get into a mystery, and I think that would be very, very cool. When we had the murders here in Edna about the Hicks fella that had killed all these people, there was so many speculations, so many ideas of where the bodies were, and I was right. I knew that they were in town. I just didn't know they were as close as they were. But I would really like to investigate stuff like that, and divorces, and make some money by myself, be doing it on my own.
Sure. What year was that murder that you found it took interest in?
Actually, they started off in early 80, well, 1980, and actually, I believe, I might be quoting this wrong, the second lady that went missing was in 1980. The wife died in the 70s, like 78 or so, maybe before that, maybe like 72. And because James Hicks was went to jail for 10 years, and it was the first case in the state of Maine to actually put somebody away in jail without a body or evidence of a body. And that was his wife, Jenny Hicks, which was found on my property that I own now on Route 2, along with a woman last name of Powers. And she was out of the Burnham area. And she went missing in the 80s from the Gateway restaurant.
Okay.
It was a bar. Late one night, she was never seen again.
Wow. What do you feel is the most important or most meaningful event in your life? Or what event has had the most effect upon your life?
Oh, wow. There's actually a couple that really stand out. One of those was a personal tragedy that it was Mother's Day accident that probably had the most impact on me. That happened in May 9th of 2004, and since then I've never not gone through a day that I haven't thought of it. Simply in one shape or form, there's been a thought every single day of my life, and if there wasn't a thought, then subconsciously, I don't remember, but I mean, it is every day there's been something to do with the Mother's Day crash, and that was, 7 people that were killed in a very serious accident one time, and 4 of them being children. Very traumatic. There was 8 or 9 firefighters from this department that responded to that call, and to this day, there's only 2 of us that are still doing the job, and we're happy to be brothers. So that was one time, and then again, 9/11, when that's when the world kind of changed for everybody, as far as the way we look at terrorism. Everybody, I think, had it tucked in the back of their head that we're invincible, we're America, and it was proved to us that we could be at the front line of the battlefield at any moment. In the rural area, in the urban area, we all can be victims very easily.
So, how long have you been a firefighter and an EMT?
I've been a firefighter since, I was a firefighter for a little while in the 90s. I started out, actually 89, 88, started off as a junior firefighter. And then there was a time in my life that I wasn't a firefighter from personal doings. I messed up, went with the wrong people at the wrong time, and I couldn't do it because I had been in trouble with the law, and I lost the respect that goes along with being a firefighter. So it took me almost 10 years to gain that back. And then in 94, I became back a member of this department after proving myself, and I've been here ever since. So I think it's been 13 or 14 years as chief, and 2 years, 10 months as a selectman for the town of Etna. So it's been about a 16, 17-year jaunt working for this municipality.
What is it that led you to actually become a volunteer?
My dad was a firefighter when I was a small child, and it was a volunteer in the Plymouth Fire Department. And I remember the plectron, the big thing you plugged in the wall when I was little, and it would screech at the middle of the night sometimes, and my dad would get up and rush off, and he'd turn his little red light on and peel down the road, and it seemed like he was rushing to help somebody. And then as I got older, he took me a few times, and we went to some pretty big incidents, some big buildings burning, and some car accidents. And I was pretty young at the time, and probably shouldn't have been on the fire ground, but I was, and the love of it grew. It was a job that wasn't like any other job. It wasn't like construction where you knew what you had to do. You have to, fire service, you got to think on your feet. Conditions change. It's kind of like the military, but a domestic branch. It's really intense sometimes, and you really got to pay attention. And the adrenaline, as I got older, the adrenaline of being scared and still being able to function and do your job was pretty intense. To find out that I actually had some bravery. I might have even been braver than I thought.